Hi there, welcome to Live Stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Do you sometimes find that when you spend a prolonged amount of time in a seated position that your hips start becoming really tight? Maybe you start feeling a tingling, even a numbing sensation in the legs and the lower extremities as the body spends too much time seated and the blood begins to pool. Why not try this short little butterfly inspired sequence to open up your hips and your pelvis, bring blood supply back into the lower extremities, improve your posture, and release tight shoulder tension. Ready to play? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up for this short sequence in a soft seated butterfly position. Buttocq Konasana. Find your way into a seated frame, setting yourself up more or less in the middle of your mat. Soles of the feet softly together and the knees softly splayed out. Begin with a good distance between the heels of your feet and your pubis. Place your hands softly on the floor behind you and think of pushing the floor away softly with your mat as you try to wiggle out through your hips, creating more length through the trunk and the torso. Then gently rock or bump your body weight onto the left bum bone, looking for areas of tension. If you've been spending a lot of time seated, then those bum bones are going to be tender. Rock onto the right bum bone. You're going to gently, dynamically rock side to side as you start systematically creeping your body and your torso closer towards your foot line. Looking for those areas of tension, those little knots of tension in your butt. Rock them out. You could even place a little massage ball underneath your bum. A small one, about the size of a golf ball, to get those knots out of the bum. All right, when you're as close to your feet as you're comfortable, place the hands gently on the mat behind you and try to center align your spine on the mat. Drop the shoulders away from your ears and lengthen as much as you can through the spine, thinking of floating the shoulder blades together and down behind your spine as you lengthen. Then softly bring the hands to wrap around your feet, overlaying one palm on top of the other, and flap the knees vigorously up and down like a fluttering butterfly. Begin vigorous, and then systematically begin slowing your flap down slower and slower and slower until you come to stillness. Keeping that bind around your feet. Lengthen through the spine. Take a big breath in to prepare. And on the exhale, fold forward, softly bending through the elbows, but keep them floating. You can start by rounding out your spine for me. Think cat stretch. Think of trying to stretch into the rib cage. And then softly think of uncurling your head like a fern frond, trying to hook your chin over your toes or the edge of the mat and dropping the shoulders away from your ears. Keep those elbows floating. Belly button pulled in, so no muffin top tummies hanging over the edge of your pants. Suck that gut in. Gently soften, come back to the center line. You're going to gently rock bum cheek to bum cheek again, creeping your bum away from your foot line and sliding the hands softly up the leg line. Ending with them maybe on your shins or maybe just around your knees, and give me a long line through the spine. You're going to think seated cat-cow, Chakravartasana. Take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, round out in a soft C-curve frame, maybe bringing the weight just off your tailbone and hold it. Brace your core, so keep that core engaged, and then float back up to your start position. You're going to rinse and repeat for a couple of rounds with your breath, and you can either keep those hands loosely connected to your knees and your shins, or you can float them in front of you as if you were hugging a tree. Inhale and come back. Exhale to round out. Making the knees as heavy as you can. And don't worry if those knees don't come anywhere near to the floor. For most of us, We are quite tight in the hips, and it's going to feel like those knees want to keep hugging your ears. So just play where your body wants to. Bring it back to the center line. Float the hands behind your hips and rock your body weight, bum cheek to bum cheek, creeping your way back so that your pubis is as close to your foot line as you can comfortably manage. When you're tucked in nice and close, push the fingertips away from you and lengthen. Think of growing your spine towards the ceiling. Pretend that there's a suction cup attached to the crown of your head, and it's gently pulling that spine up towards the ceiling. Then bring your hands to the front, this time wrapping around your ankle and bending the elbows so that you can use your elbows for leverage to push on the inside of your knees, trying to bring the knees closer to the floor. Round out through the spine. Think of that little cat stretch. And then gently uncurl your head like a fern front. Bring your chin over the toes. Keep that belly button sucked in and drop the shoulders down along the center line. Think of them sliding down the spine towards your sacrum area. Keep that belly button softly pulled in. You're going to gently unpeel. And you're going to rock your body weight bum cheek to bum cheek, giving yourself more distance between the feet and your perineum. Sliding the hands up to end on your shins or your knees. You're going to cat-cow out. Exhale to round up, bracing as you hollow out the front. Inhale to float back. So you're playing between a neutral spine position. By neutral, I want you to come up nice and tall and think of stacking your shoulders over your hips and then round out, allowing the weight to tilt back just off the tailbone before you float back. And play with it, either hugging your tree or keeping your hands softly connected to either the knees or the shins. Let's do one more. When you peel back up, place your hands softly on the floor behind you and bum cheek rock, creep your butt closer towards your foot line. When you're in as tight as you can get, think of lengthening through the spine, really bringing those heels as close to the perineum as you can, and mindfully think of dropping the shoulders away from your ears. So you're almost floating the two shoulder blades together behind your back and expanding laterally through the chest. Keep that belly button sucked in. Alrighty. This time, as you bring the hands forward, I'd like you to use your two thumbs, placing a thumb in the arch of each foot, and think of pulling two grapefruit segments apart. Gently hold onto the feet, using your elbows for leverage. Push on the inside of your knees, dropping the knees as close to the floor as you can. Round out softly through the spine to begin. And then gently think of bringing your chin over your chin over your toes, or hooking it over the edge of your mat, and really try to stretch through the lower back, mindfully dropping those shoulders away from your ears. Then keep the feet tucked in as close to the perineum as you can and peel up along the center line. Plant the left hand or just the fingertips on the floor behind you, whichever works for you, and rock the weight onto your left bum bone, almost dropping your left knee all the way to the floor, and take a slight twist. So you're looking over that back shoulder to the back corner of your mat. You're going to replicate side to side, either giving yourself a flat hand on the mat or just fingertips. Rock all the way over on your bum and drop that knee to the floor as you oscillate side to side. Try not to lock out the back arm, so almost giving me a soft micro bend in the elbow so that you're not locking out either the elbow joint or the shoulder joint, and keep mindfully dropping the shoulder away from your ear as you open up. Keeping a soft butterfly position through the feet. Almost knife edging as you rock side to side. Let's do one more. Find your way back to center. Creep those feet as close to the perineum as you can. Drop the shoulders away from your ears and lengthen through the spine. Then we're going to come into a soft little bind, and you can keep the feet where they are, or you can momentarily slide them forward a little bit so that you've got space to tuck a hand at a time through the legs to wrap around your foot on each side. When you're in position, you can maybe wiggle those feet in closer towards your perineum. Keep the bind loosely around your feet and just try to softly round out in that cat shape. Using the weight of your legs to pull the arms down and release tension from the shoulders and the neck. Then maybe think of uncurling your head like a fern frond. Feel how that changes the way you experience the stretch along the back. Keep that belly button softly pulled in. Peel up along the center line, untucking from underneath the legs, and allow the feet to softly creep away from your body line. Float the hands out in front. We're going to do a one butterfly roll down to come into a supine butterfly. So sitting up nice and tall with your shoulders and your hips stacked, belly button pulled in. Big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, round out, nodding your chin to your chest and giving me a nice C-curve frame, looking towards your belly button and keeping that core braced. Roll down, and once you connect to the mat, drop the arms at your side in the Shavasana-like position and tuck the feet in closer towards the perineum as you settle into a supine butterfly. Allow for a neutral spine position, a little space between your lower back and the mat, but keep your belly button firmly pulled in and keep your hip bones looking straight up to the ceiling like little headlights. Place your hands over the hip bone so that you can feel the heel of your hand connecting to a hip bone on each side, just allowing the fingertips to softly overlay. Close your eyes and take your focus in. Focus on the levelness of your hips. So pretend you've got a little strip of mercury floating between the two hip bones and try to keep that mercury level as you float the two knees together along the center line and drop the soles of your feet to the mat, relaxing your lower back, giving me a little pelvic tilt. So scooping and imprinting your lower back into the mat before coming back to neutral. Then trying to keep the hips as level as you can. Drop into half a butterfly on the left, knife edging onto the foot, and just opening up as wide as that leg wants to open up. So don't force it and don't rock and roll. Keep those hips even, looking up to the ceiling like little headlights. You can close your eyes, take your focus in so that you almost tuned into what's happening between the two hips. Bring yourself back to center and rinse and repeat the half a butterfly on the right. Knife edging the foot, trying to keep your hips as even as you can as you open up into your half a butterfly line on the right. Then gently bringing it back to center. Take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, float both knees open, knife edging the feet and maybe creeping them together along the midline to sandwich together in a butterfly line. And then allowing your right hand to softly splay over your belly and your belly button. Allow the left hand to connect to your chest. Close your eyes and take your focus in. You're going to give me a couple of deep belly breaths here. Taking a big breath in, inhaling through the nose and allowing your belly to dome up like a little pot-bellied pig towards the ceiling, like a balloon inflating. And then allow it to exhale, making your belly button heavy, almost giving me a hollow shape through your belly. You're going to rinse and repeat. Close your eyes and take your focus in. Notice what's happening with your chest. Try to prevent your chest from rising. It will rise a little bit, but I don't want a big rise in the chest. I want the biggest rise to be in your belly. So you're breathing all the way into your belly, allowing it to dome up towards the ceiling before relaxing and releasing. Feel the belly expanding underneath the palm of your right hand and try to keep the chest as still as you can. Make your shoulders heavy into the mat. Hold a neutral spine position and make sure that you're not arching through the chin and the neck. Keep your chin line softly dropping down towards your chest. Give me one more belly breath here. And then gently open your eyes, but keep them soft and unfocused. Float the hands alongside your body, extending one leg at a time into a soft turnout position. So keep those inner thighs rotated out as you bring the legs into a soft Pilates V with the heels together and the toes pointed to the corner of your mat. Neutral spine, little space between your lower back and the mat, belly button firmly pulled in. Arms soft and relaxed at your side, shoulders and chin heavy. Bend the right knee, take it out to the side of the room and then draw it into the midline and keep tracing that circular pattern through the hip, externally rotating through the joints, and keep the turnout position on your supported leg. Give me one more on this side, then we'll repeat on the left. Find your turnout position, draw the left knee out and then into the center. Don't lift the whole foot off the mat. Try to keep the foot on the leg that's rotating softly connected to the mat. So there's always a portion of the foot that's softly connected. Come back to the first side and work in the opposite direction, drawing the knee in towards the midline before opening it up to the side, internally rotating through the hip joint this time. Keep your belly button nice and heavy into the mat. Let's change sides. Bring the left knee in and then softly splay it out to the side, keeping your turnout position on your supportive side. You're going to give me two more like this, then we're going to move the legs in unison like a little frog. So you're going to think of softly splaying the knees out to the side of the room, drawing them in towards the midline and softly extending the legs at about a 45 or a 75-degree angle. If you're feeling the lower back, tuck the hands, palms down underneath the bum for support. Start making your movements as fluid as you can and think of emulating a little frog swimming through the water. Stay here with your head connected to the mat or scoop, imprint your lower spine into the mat. Brace through the core as you gently keep swimming your little frog. Keep your chin tucked softly towards your chest as if you had a grapefruit tucked underneath the chin. Let's do two more here, and then we're going to hold a little floating butterfly line. End with the knees wide. Grab with one hand at a time and reach for the front of your ankle on each foot. Tuck into a butterfly line and tuck the heels in as close to the perineum as you can. Try to keep that scooped position. So your lower back is imprinted into the mat. There's no space between your lower back and the mat. You brought the weight up off your shoulders and your core is braced and engaged. Drop the shoulders away from your ears and pull the feet in as close to your perineum as you can, almost hanging here in a little butterfly frame. You're going to try and hold this butterfly frame and just give me one rock or roll to come to a seated position. So maybe gently rocking up, holding onto the feet if you can, or sliding your hands to bind around the feet, tucking them in as close to the perineum as you can. Almost think of squeezing the two knees in towards your shoulders on an inhale, and then on an exhale, drop the knees away from your shoulders. Drop the arms, make them heavy to the floor and grow through your spine. Pretend that there's a suction cup that's literally pulling not just the crown of your head, but your whole torso up towards the ceiling, and make the knees as heavy to the floor as you can. Feel that beautiful rush of blood to the groin and the pelvic area. Then gently close your eyes, take your focus in, and float your hands into a soft prayer-like position in front of your face, closing off your short sequence by tapping your fingertips to your third eye. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. I really hope you enjoyed this short sequence. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Shoot me your comments in the comments box below and make sure that you are subscribed to my channel with your notification bell on. I shall see you all for playtime on the mat. Till then, keep it light.